I, Katherine Jones, am a music-loving, city-craving film junkie who has an obsession with everything and anything related to comedy, thanks to my three older brothers. Growing up was always eventful, especially being the only girl. Besides being flung from beanbags or being their test subject when it came to new pranks, I wouldn't change anything in the world about my childhood, especially where I grew up. Prior to moving to Towson a few weeks ago, I lived in Frederick, Maryland, which is about 45 minutes away from campus. Frederick is very unique in so many ways. One of those reasons being how quickly you can go from being downtown and surrounded by crowds of people and large aged buildings to the countryside where there are many farms and open fields filled with cows and goats. Because of this diverseness within my hometown, I would classify myself as suburban. If I wanted to enjoy the ruralness of Frederick, I would just have to turn right from my house and drive for about 10 minutes before I'd have the scent of manure smack me in the face. If I wanted to go out with my friends and hang out in the city, all I would have to do is take a left from my house, drive for about 5 minutes, and I'd be amongst the elite of the town, enjoying the small shops of downtown Frederick and the infamous Carroll Creek. My hometown is the perfect in-between. When I think of the word urban, two meanings come to mind. On one hand, when I hear the word urban, I think of a populous city like New York or Chicago and the various living styles that come along with it. You have the richest of the rich mixed with the poorest of the poor. On another hand, I also think of low-income families with immense diversity and run-down sides of town that the ritzy people tend to avoid at all costs. When it comes to the look of the word urban, I think of graffiti on the side of trains and smoke coming out from manhole covers or skyscrapers emerging from the concrete and various working classes all clashing together on the streets, creating one huge mob of people. Urban sounds like taxicabs angrily honking at one another, and rumbles from the subway system below your feet, or songs blasting from the unending windows of the apartments at the center of town, and the various citizens of the city yelling at one another about God knows what. A song that perfectly personifies the word urban would have to be Empire State of Mind by Jay-Z featuring Alicia Keys. At first I didn't want to pick the song because it seemed very cliche, but at the end of the day, it's the song that first came to mind and perfectly describes what the city can be like. Jay-Z raps about the cityscape and his life in the city before fame. Whenever I think of the city, I think of this song. New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. New York, New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. Big lights will inspire you. Hear it from New York, New York, New York. To me, the term urban education initially means schools within the city limits whose students come from various backgrounds and financial situations. The schools categorized as urban don't pop up to me as schools with fancy new technology or the largest space for classes. In fact, when I hear the term urban education, my high school immediately comes to mind. I went to the city high school in our county. Our school had the least amount of funding, the highest rate of free and reduced lunch for high schools, and a largely diverse population of students who came from various backgrounds and places around the world. The experiences I had within that school are what immediately come to mind when I think of urban education. I had some of the best teachers, and experienced many physical and verbal fights between students, and learned how to support others in the community. In order to make these experiences better for students, the education system needs teachers who are experienced and prepared for issues within a classroom. What needs to change are the ways in which officials pick those who will run the education system. Instead of having people in office who have never stepped foot in the classroom, like Betsy DeVos, bring in people who have had years of teaching or administrative experience so they can make the changes that they have thought to be needed for years. No more means of attempting to make lunches healthier or testing scores higher. There needs to be a change in which students are not as penalized for small stuff and cared for when it comes to larger issues in and outside of the classroom.